Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
So, welcome to another episode of Unleash the Hero Within. And this is my first time I'm going to do it in English. And the reason that I'm doing it in English because I'm being coached by Arnan Barnes, and his coaching is done in English. And one of my fellow coachees is the guest on my episode today, and his name is Tyrone Haynes. But I just found out he speaks fluently Dutch. But since we've been talking for English for about an hour and a half, let's keep it that way. So, Tyrone, welcome in the episode.
Hi. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Welcome on my podcast. So,
Yes.
um, Warriors of the Light is the
Yes.
title of this episode. And I really love it because I was thinking about what are we going to talk about? And we can talk about coaching. And, well, as you already mentioned, I think about half of the people in Holland are coached.
Yeah.
So, Warrior of the Light sounds much more appealing to me.
Yes.
But what do you see when you hear that? Warrior of the Light. What does that bring up to you? What kind of thoughts do you have?
To me personally, it brings up the thought of freedom. Freedom. I think a lot of times we are put on a path that's not our own, and that's a problem because once you realize that that path is not your own, you need to change it.
Mm,
Well, how do I do that? What do I go to? Who's going to help me? Do I get help? Is there a way to find my true self, my success? What is success? When you understand the light, everything becomes clear
mm,
and you can see where you're supposed to be, right? Which is completely different from where you thought you might have to be. And when I say supposed to be, that has to do with want to be, right? Me and Marcel, we were just talking about my good friend George Strait, who's a country singer. And he said something that stuck to me. It's always been with me. He said in his song, he says, I do what I like because I like what I do. And that's important because that's really where you find your superpower. That's where you really become a warrior of the light because you like what you're doing because you do what you like, yeah, or you do what you like because you like what you do. Flip it how you want, but it's still the same thing. It gives you that freedom that you're looking for. And where there's freedom, as we talked about earlier, real freedom, there's happiness, right? And where there's happiness, there's joy.
mm.
And being one that's experienced both sides of having joy or happiness and not, you definitely want that other half, the joyful
Mm.
part. But being a warrior of the light, that's what you get when you understand that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I hope
freedom,
that
happiness,
helps.
and joy. Yeah, of course. Oh, sure, sure.
Yeah,
Because
I hope so.
freedom, happiness, joy, light. I mean, we live in dark times right now. With the
Yeah.
COVID going on and so much strange things going on in the world. So
Yeah.
I guess more happiness and more light is exactly what we need. So,
Yeah.
and I also believe, and we talked about this earlier as well, there are a lot of people who are in desperate need of help,
Yes.
but they are maybe afraid to ask for help.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
believe warriors of the light is exactly what this world needs right now.
Yeah.
But how do we use our superpowers? How do we use that to help other people? See the light. I mean, do we actually help them to see the light, or do we help them, find the light within themselves?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that is, of course, a journey we are all on. And I think that is something that helped us in this time as well. It's
Yeah.
to think about our lives because everything that we've been taken for granted has been taken away from us.
Yeah.
And if
Exactly.
they take away everything from us, what is then left?
Yeah.
What is
Yeah.
left?
Yeah. It's nice you say that actually, Marcel, because that's the thing that I've learned as well. When they take it all away from you, then that's the real you. That's when you start to see what you're really like. It's kind of like a lady who puts on a lot of makeup. She looks beautiful. She goes out into the town, and eventually she comes home, and she's got to take it all off. The makeup, everything. It's got to come off, and that's the real her. And sometimes when you do that, you look different than what you thought you would. And the thing is, I think a lot of times we are taught not to embrace who we are, right? We're taught
Mm,
to embrace what we are told to become,
mm,
and that's everybody looks pretty when they got the right makeup and the right look on. But what's really driving the boat? What's really making me happy? What's really making me uh, see the light? And I think the the more you understand the person inside, the more you understand what's important in life. And actually, being a person who has understood what it's like to have joy taken away from them and to slowly get it back, you start to appreciate. You've heard the statement, you appreciate the smaller things in life.
Mhm.
Well, that's a great statement, but I think it's even better if you appreciate the right things in your life. And sometimes we're taught that the right things in our life is not acceptable. It's not good. And it may be from well-meaning people. It's one of the things Arnon said to us as well. Sometimes the people who have the best intentions give the worst advice,
Mm,
right? But the person who has the best intention for you or for me is us, ourselves.
mm,
And we just have to understand, how do I get to that true me? Where am I? Because from birth till death, somebody's telling you how to do something. This is what's best for you. That's what's best for you. When actually, and you've heard that statement as well, I'm sure we already have it in us. It's already there,
mm.
right? You just got to figure it out. Well, what is it? Um, and a lot of times we make it more complicated than it has to be. One of the things Arnon said was keep it simple,
Mm.
right? Um, and that's what I'm trying to, and I'm sure as well as you are learning how to do. It's really about the person himself. Who am I? And the person that that can master that masters everything. I heard a statement said one time. A guy said, "A man who who overcomes or masters or overpowers another, is considered to be strong." And then he paused and he said, "A man who masters or overcomes himself is considered to be mighty."
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
I want to be mighty.
Yeah.
I don't want to just be strong.
Mm,
So I think that's where that whole finding the light within ourselves comes from. When
mm.
I've mastered myself, then I can say I'm mighty. And that's where my freedom will come from and my happiness and joy, I expect.
Yeah. But
And I
then
think that's
first,
what we can help people to do.
yeah. But that
Yeah,
also
I
means that we
think
have to conquer our darkness as well. Because before we
definitely.
can find our light, we have to take
Yes.
the journey into the
Yes.
darkness.
Yes.
There's this famous
Yes.
book, I think it's called Into the Heart of Darkness.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and this is actually the time we are living in right now.
Yes.
A lot of people
Exactly.
are scared and
Yes.
I think they are also not just afraid of the current situation, but also afraid to take a step
Yes.
into the light because
Yes.
perhaps they see it as a step into the darkness because it's
Yes.
scary. You have to
Yeah.
take a new path.
Yeah.
You have to take
Yeah.
the road less traveled. It's a new
Yes.
road.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It's a scary time, but as we learned in the wonderful course that we're doing with our nom, is fear is false expectations appearing real,
Mm,
right? But a lot of times we accept that, right? And the problem is, I think, another thing that Arnon brings out a lot that I appreciate is we have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And I think a lot of times we fail to recognize how great it is to be uncomfortable, because that's where our light is. That's where we start to overcome the darkness, right? I mean, we all can remember when we were children in the room and there was something that was scary in the dark, right?
yeah.
And well, we either figure it out or we scream out to mama or papa or you know and then I can still recall, I mean, I have a son as well who's 8, and oftentimes he's very courageous, but sometimes he gets a little scared in the dark, and he'll make that call. Can you come check this out for me, papa or mama? And It turns out that it was just, some shoes that were left in the wrong spot when the light was turned off, but they look like this big bad monster.
Mm.
We just have to understand that it's okay to be afraid. It's okay to be afraid. It's what you do with the fear.
Mm.
That's where the problem is. Okay, I'm afraid. It's okay. If a person tells you they've never afraid or they're scared to make a change, they're a fool. If they
Mm.
say you can't be scared, don't be afraid. No, it's fine to be afraid. You should be afraid, um, because that means you're going into that light, right? Everything looks scary in the dark,
Mm.
but the man who can fix himself, he will always be able to fix his fear, always.
Mm.
And that's what we want to help individuals to understand or grasp. Uh, and I always say, I heard it from Jay-Z. He's a rapper. I'm sure you've
Mm.
heard of him.
Sure.
He always says in his songs, there's levels to this,
Yeah.
and it's true.
Mm.
Everything has a level. There are
Yeah.
levels to how we handle fearful situations and how we overcome them. I can still remember as a child, one of my biggest fears or uh, inabilities. I had two of them as a child, but my biggest was learning how to tie my shoe. I was terrible at it. It took me months to get it. But now I can tie my shoe without, even looking down. But it was a fear, right? But once we overcome that fear, the dark doesn't seem as dark as it used to,
Mm.
because it's not. False expectations appearing real.
Yeah.
And as warriors of the light, as we've learned, or as we're discussing, can you imagine how wonderful it feels when you've helped an individual overcome that battle? There's nothing like it.
Mm.
When you help them to become also a warrior.
Yeah.
So where there's, like Arnold has said many times, he says, where we do live in a world of darkness, but there is light out there. And the more warriors that we have fighting for that light, the brighter it gets, right? And
Yeah.
that's what I think, one of the things we're learning, one of the reasons why we're doing this podcast. Um, and hopefully, those that will listen can be inspired to do great things because they have greatness in them.
We all do.
Yeah,
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 we all do. And right now we live in times that those gifts that are in all of us need to come out.
yeah,
We all need
yeah,
to become those warriors of light.
yeah.
We all have our own responsibility
Yes,
as well to find
yes,
it in ourselves
yes,
and in each other. And I also
yes,
believe that if you want to discover it in yourself, try to help other people find it in their life. And then you will
yes,
find it in your life as well.
yes. Giving is truly better than receiving.
Yeah, yeah.
It's the truth. Huh? It's a simple statement. We've probably all heard it since we were children. But especially now living in these times, you start to see the effects of it. Huh? Giving really is greater than receiving, for both parties, because we inspire. I mean, we're even on this podcast because someone who is at a different level than we are decided, hey, you know what, I'm going to give back
Yeah.
because I can bring these guys with me,
Mm.
right? And they will pay it forward to the next person or people or generation. Or, I mean, like I said, I have a kid, he's 8, and the stories that I heard as a child growing up that were positive and legit or real, and that they were really proven to be real because I've tried and tested them.
Mhm.
I passed those stories to him. Right, son, you can be great. And this is how it works. This is why. This is what you have in you. And my son, who is very Dutch, he is now giving a presentation in English at 8 years old
Cool.
himself. Well, that's because it's helping him to understand that fear is false expectations appearing real.
Mm.
You don't have to be afraid. Once you understand the answer to the question, it's no longer scary.
Mm.
And if it is scary still, it's okay.
That's always
I can
scary.
be afraid.
Mm.
I can be afraid. But will I continue to accept uh, this situation that I find myself in because I'm afraid, or will I conquer it
Yeah.
because I'm afraid?
Yeah, because
There's a different,
you will
there's a
stay
level
in
to
a
this.
state of fear. If you don't
Yes,
move, if you don't do something
yes,
about your fear,
yes,
you will
yes,
stay in the state of fear.
yes.
So the
I
only
believe
thing you
that.
can do to get out of the
Yes,
state of fear is by facing your fear.
yes.
Yeah,
Action.
take
Yes, that's
action.
it.
Yeah.
You have to act, huh? And you have to act, and you have to be decisive. And it doesn't really matter per se where that decision falls, as long as you fall forward. You know, like Les Brown said, he said, if you're going to fall, make sure you land on your back. He says, because when you can look up, you can get up. You've probably
Yeah.
heard the statement
Yeah.
before, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
There's a reason for that.
Mm.
If you're going to fall, fall on your back. If you're going to be afraid, it's okay. But be prepared to overcome your fear. I heard from another guy, he said, look, if you have something in your way, stopping you from accomplishing your goal, he said, move it. Full stop. Move it. That's fear.
Yeah.
Move it. Okay. Yeah, you're in my way. I'm afraid. I'll either go around you or I'll go through you. But I'll let you decide which it's going to be. But
Mm.
I'm going to move you. And that's what a warrior does. Huh?
Mm.
He understands. I mean, I heard a statement as well. Courage is understanding fear, but accepting it anyway and moving forward. That's courage,
Mm.
right? Um, we talked earlier before we started the podcast about the lion. One of his qualities is courage. A lion is never afraid of the dark. He always fights through it. He always goes to it. He will always go to the fact, to the attack, always, because he understands I have to get through this. So I think fear is, and I keep repeating it because I want the hearer to understand that false expectations appearing real.
Mm.
I want that drilled in that listener's view in his head, in the fourth part of his brain, because that's where all this rationalizing comes from. It needs to be in the forefront of his brain. False expectations appearing real. Right. It's okay to be afraid or have fear, but it's a false expectation appearing real. I can't do this. I'm not good enough. False expectation appearing real. Because once you have accomplished it, right, like Nelson Mandela said, everybody says it can't be done until it's done,
Yeah.
right?
Mm.
They all say it, yeah, it's not never done before until it's done,
Mm.
right? False expectations appearing real. And if you're a warrior of the light, you help an individual become a warrior of his light, right? And that's the objective that I think, as a fellow warrior, the two of us, we are driven to help those individuals find their light. Because when the light's on, the dark will go away. It always happens. Huh? Where there's light, there can't be darkness. It's
Mm.
impossible.
Yeah.
That's why it was created, right? What's the first thing your parents said to you as a child? Well, turn on the light, boy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's what I think the warrior of the light wants to
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also believe if you keep listening to the words of fear and follow the
Mm-hmm.
path of fear, that ultimately that path will lead to regret. Because
Yes.
eventually there will be a day that you
Mm-hmm.
will be here for the last time and you lie there
Yeah.
on your bed, on your deathbed, and you will regret
Yes.
all the things that you didn't do, all those opportunities you missed.
Yeah.
And I think in the face of death, fear has no power. So,
Yes.
and if we can take that with us now while we still live and we can make those decisions and we can make those choices
Mm-hmm.
of, looking fear into the eye and making
Mm-hmm.
different choices, not stay in the dark, but
Yeah.
take a step towards the light and see what
Yes.
happens. Because fear is also a great opportunity to grow, to learn,
Yes.
to experience,
Yes.
and to
Yes.
get closer to that person who we are truly destined to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think if you and like I said and like you're saying, if I hear you talk, fear it can also be a glorious, beautiful thing, because when it's applied or used or mastered properly, it will push you to your next level.
Mm.
Huh? I'm afraid to swim in the deep, and then someone throws you in. And then you're swimming in the deep 2 years later with your friends. You
Yeah.
never thought about it.
Yeah.
It'll push you to the next level
Yeah.
if it's mastered correctly.
Yeah.
If it has the right lights put on it in the right manner, it will push you to the next level. And that's what we're all trying to get to. Everybody's trying to get to the next level somewhere in their
Yeah.
life,
Definitely.
right? And the thing is, a lot of times we have uh, allowed our brains to train us where we should actually train our brains,
Definitely. Yeah.
right? We've allowed the brain to tell us, no, don't do that.
Mm.
Well, we should. It's like my dad said to me one time. He said, "Son, you got to tell yourself, shut up." You hear that fear talking, shut up.
Yeah.
No, no, we're going to do it like this today. No, no, I want that today. And then you go and do it. Eventually, your brain will follow,
Yeah.
right? It will eventually do as you tell it to because you've got the mastery over it.
Yeah.
False expectations appearing real yet again. But we can turn that fear into a, and I speak from my own experiences, as we discussed earlier before the podcast. I've seen a lot of things in my life, and a lot of highs and a lot of lows, and um, understanding how to handle the fear that comes with those situations and how to get the mastery of them has allowed me to start to find that light. And it is, you know, it is better on the other side. Yeah.
Yes.
Sometimes we hear, especially from me, where I'm coming from Texas, for example, we always say the grass is greener on the other side. Most of the times, I used to respond with that statement by saying, "Yeah, it's just green." But once you really get it, it is greener on the other side.
Mm.
But on the other side of what? Well, on the other side of that false expectation appearing real,
Mm. Yeah.
right? You've overcome that fear. I'm not afraid anymore. What can happen? We have an old saying. Well, it's a song actually. It's a guy. His name is, maybe you know him. His name is Garth Brooks.
Sure. Yeah.
And yeah, and he has a song, and what he talks about is the dash in between. That's what he calls it, the dash in between. And he says there's the time you're born, the time you die, but the part that's most important is that dash in between.
Mm.
And the question he's asking you is, what will you do with it? How will you use that dash? What will you do with your life?
Mm.
Will you let it be driven by fear, or will you drive fear?
Mm.
In other words, speaking about this topic, will you become a warrior of the light, or will you be a slave to the darkness?
Mm.
It's a choice.
Mm.
And that's very powerful. The most powerful thing I think we have, it's a gift, is the gift of choice. And if we choose, then we can become.
Mm.
If I choose to become a warrior, then I will be a warrior. Full stop. And that has to do with false expectation appearing real. Overcome it. Right? Make it the one that you're the master of this slave.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You tell it what to do.
Yeah.
You use it how you want it to be
Yeah.
used.
Yeah. I like that, Jan.
And
Slave of the darkness.
yes,
I like that.
yes,
Yeah. It's
yes.
a choice. Who do you want to
It's a
be?
choice. Who do I want to be?
Yeah.
Yes. Know your why. And I was reading the thing the other day. It said, and I thought that was interesting. It said, don't have a goal. And I thought, what? Don't have a goal? What kind of nonsense is this? Everybody has goals. You have to have a goal. No goal, no result. What? But then he's responded by saying, have a reason, right?
Mm.
He said, reasons, they're everlasting.
Mm.
Goals are momental. They're just for the moment.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So have a reason. Know your why. This is why I'm waking up this morning.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't just wake up and wait on the world to act. No, wake up and tell the world this is what you're going to do today for me.
Yeah. There's a saying that goes, he who has a big enough why can conquer any how.
Yes.
Yes.
And that's a beautiful statement. I will keep that in my memory. Yes, because that's what it's about.
Mm.
Yeah. I mean, your subconscious, you think about it. I was listening to a guy, he's a fellow friend of mine, and he said to me, he says, look, if you tell your subconscious, if you tell yourself, this is what I want to happen, your subconscious that has no feelings, it will start to find the answer to your why.
True. Yeah.
It will start to find it. And before you know it, your why will become when.
Yeah. Yeah.
And your win will become why not.
Yeah.
And before you're doing it, you're like, oh yeah, I did that already. Next. And a lot of reasons why we have fear is because of that one question. Well, why? Well, why are you going to leave your job? Well, why are you going to not go traveling? Well, why are you going to go traveling? Well, why are you going to? And then you look at yourself, and sometimes you got to say to yourself, well, why not?
Why not? Yeah.
Why don't I become my best self? What's making me not want to be better than I am? I heard as well, because I listen a lot to a lot of people. Um, uh, well, I should change that. I hear a lot of people, few I listen to.
Mm.
But the guy said, he said, the person I am today is good enough for today, but he's useless to me for tomorrow. I thought about that and I thought, well, what is he saying here? And he responded by saying, because the person I am today is not a good enough for the person I want to become tomorrow,
Mm.
because that's the next level that I need to get to my best self. And he said in his example, he said, look, who drives a Model T Ford anymore today? Can you find them? No. I mean, you'd rather take a Tesla than a Model T Ford, but they're both cars. What's the difference?
Mm.
They have evolved. They've gotten better
Yeah.
and better and better. And the thing, Arnon said to me, I'm not an evolutionist, but Arnon said to me that the one who created evolution, he said, and this is what he got my attention with. He said, a lot of people always believe that he said it's survival of the fittest. And I thought, well, yeah, that's what I've learned since I was born, survival of the
Sure.
fittest.
Yeah.
Only the strong survive. Yeah, that's it. Go for it. You beat your chest. But he said, no, what he really said was it's the survival of the most adaptable.
Mm.
And I thought, what? He said, yeah, it's the survival of the most adaptable. And I thought about that and I translated that to me and what I'm trying to help others, or yourself as well, what you're trying to help others. It's basically saying the one who can evolve or get to the next level, who can change, who can handle and overcome, that's the one that's going to survive.
Mm.
The gazelle that runs the fastest may not be the gazelle that survives. He might run really fast and then run into a tree. Boom, it's over. But the one that is able to adapt to the environment,
Mm.
to move around the consequence, the not the consequences, the issues, to go over them, to go around them, or if necessary, to go through them. But like we said earlier, he will, if there's a problem, okay, there's a problem, move it. Full stop. There is no I can't. No, it's about when. Move it. Maybe I'm not able to move it today. Maybe I'm not able to move it this year, but I will move it.
Mm.
Full stop. And that's all about that dash in between. What choice will I make? How will I become great? I heard from another guy. Uh, he said, the person was talking to him, and they said, who do you want to thank for your success? Who do you want to say thank you to for your success? And he said something that I thought, what? He said, I want to thank myself. And I laughed, but I thought he hit the nail on the head. He said, I want to thank myself because I woke up this morning, because I decided I was going to do that, because I moved that fear, false expectations appearing real. I moved it. So
Yeah.
I thank myself first. Yes, there are others that I think, but the problem is a lot of times, as warriors of the light who are trying to help individuals come out of the darkness, we fail or they fail or are not able to see, hey, I'm a good person. I'm worth something. Yeah.
Hmm.
I'm that guy or that woman.
Yeah.
I can overcome me,
Yeah.
right? And I'm going to choose to do that.
Yeah.
Henceforth, from today going forward, I choose to be my best self.
Yeah. I can become the warrior of the light.
I can.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I can become. I would say even more so, I am the warrior of the light.
Mm.
I just don't know it yet.
Yeah. That's
But I
true.
have it.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have it in me.
Yeah, I saw this. I was looking on Arnon's website, and I found this
Yeah.
quote that I really liked. I'll read it to you. It says,
Yeah.
"To have what you've never had, you must do what you never did and become
Yes.
who you've never been."
Yes.
Yeah, I
Yes.
like that.
Yes.
Yeah,
And it's the truth, huh?
yeah.
That's the truth. No one gets something by standing still.
Mm.
No one gets somewhere. I mean, can you imagine? No one gets something by doing nothing, right? So why would you expect to become your best self or your greatest self
Doing nothing. Yeah.
by doing nothing,
Mm.
right? And the thing is, you have to have consistency. And what I mean by consistency is that's the way you do self-talk, right? Because a lot of times that's where fear comes from. I can't, I won't,
Yeah.
it's too much.
I'm not good enough. Yeah. Yeah.
But you have to say to yourself every morning, I'm going to wake up and think, I'm here. I'm great because I'm going to make myself great. I heard a statement as well, as you said before.
Hmm.
When you're good, people, you tell other people that you're good. When you're great, they tell you.
Mm.
So that's what you have to tell yourself. I'm great.
Yeah.
I'm great. I'm a warrior of the light. I will be great. I will not stop until I get it done.
Mm.
Right? If it takes 12 years to get a 4-year degree, you do it. It doesn't matter, right? What matters is the end result of not the goal that I've accomplished it, but the reason why I accomplished this goal. That's when it gets interesting.
Mm.
Because then you say to yourself, okay, my principal belief of why I became who I am, that you can always be.
Mm.
And that's what it's about. That's a warrior of the light, right? I talked to my son the other day, and it's funny, I learned so much from him. He's my little rock star. But anyways, at the age of 8, and that seems so long ago and such an innocent time, right? But at the age of 8, you're still innocent enough, right? They
Yeah.
say typically between the ages of 0 and 7 or 8 is very impactful because usually a lot of the things that you hear you accept as true, right? You don't doubt it. You're like, okay, right. It's a good thing to cross the street without looking. It's okay. You just accept it as true. It's later on when your parents pull you back and say, no, that's not a good idea. But I said to him the other day, I said to him, I said, Taze, that's his name, Taze. I said, Taze, what do you do if one of if you're playing with somebody and they say, I don't want to play with you anymore? He says, I said, that's fine. I got other friends. I'll just go to the other side of the room. Never did he say to himself, I will feel bad about it. He goes, I'm okay. I can handle it. I don't mind. So I got friends. I can go somewhere else. So what he was saying to me was, I am confident enough to handle that problem and overcome it.
Mm.
I will find a solution to that
Mm.
problem.
Mm.
Watch me. And he'll do it. But you can justify that with your conscious brain saying, yeah, that's just a kid being a kid. No, that's fear in its place.
Yeah.
It's what that is. That's a false expectation appearing real, being put in its place. No, no, no. There's nothing wrong with me. Maybe there's something wrong with you, but I'm going to overcome this and go find some other friends to play with. And if we could just keep that childlike experience, that childlike innocence, because we're still children.
Mm.
Everybody's somebody's child, but we're still children. But a lot of times, for whatever reason, we start to think like adults, quote quote. And it's been my question that I ask myself, how's that working for you?
Mm,
How's it working for me? Is it
yeah.
really getting me what I want?
Mm,
And if it is, I keep doing it. If it's not, I change. The problem is, do I understand that I can still do that? Maybe the person who's in the dark is that 45-year-old guy who has just lost his job. And he thinks to himself, all I've done is sales my whole life.
mm,
I'm 45. What in the world am I going to do? Well, a kid would say, well, go get another job doing something else.
yeah.
But the fear inside of us that for some reason has a mind of its own says, yeah, but you only qualify for this. You're not good enough.
Mm,
There's darkness.
mm,
You're not good enough. You can't do this. What? What?
yeah.
Who decided that?
Yeah.
A lot of times we have to tell ourselves we are great. No, I can do this. I'm going to do this.
Mm,
I'm going to leave that job that I don't like, or I'm going to uh, work on my relationship with my family or my wife or my husband or myself. I'm going to go to the past where it was dark at, and I'm
mm.
going to find out and understand why. I'm not going to judge it because that's where fear becomes phenomenal. I'm not going to judge the situation. I'm going to understand it. And from that understanding, I'm going to become better because of it. I'm going to turn my negatives into positives. These are going to become my golden nuggets. That's what Arnon said to me one time. He says, you've been through a lot. These are golden nuggets. I'm going to
Yeah.
turn this rock into a diamond, huh? Like we
Yeah.
spoke
Yeah.
about earlier.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's also like, the shit from the past is the
Yes.
fertilizer where new stuff can grow on.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
100% true.
yeah, yeah. So let
Yes.
me ask you one last thing. One last thing that
Yes.
you may want
Yes.
to
Yes.
share for people that,
Sure.
perhaps they feel like they are a slave to the darkness, but
Yeah.
they want to transfer their lives also into the warrior of the light. But
Yeah.
with these dark times and everything that we are living in, what would you say
Yeah.
to them that would help them, make the next move out of the darkness and more into the light?
What would I say to them to move from the darkness to the light? Um, Honestly, I would say a lot to them, but to put it simple, I would just say, just do it. But I would say to them, it's okay to be afraid. It really is okay to have fear. What's not okay is accepting it. And what I mean by accepting it is not embracing it and understanding it, but accepting it and saying, well, this is just the way it is. I am what I am. And I think you're not, I am what I am. You are what you choose to be. Right? And I believe that the world will give you what you are. If you choose to be phenomenal, you will become phenomenal. If you choose to be afraid, you will remain afraid. If you choose to be a warrior of the light, you will fight to become a warrior of the light. And the light that I'm talking about is not my light or not your light, Marcel. It's that individual's light. What is my light? What's going to help me? What's going to drive me? What's going to make me um, phenomenally determined to move it? If it's in my way, what will make me move it? That's your why. That's your reason. If you can understand that, no, better stated, when or as you understand that, it will move. I remember the little boy who was afraid of the dark. He didn't just lay there and be afraid of the dark. He moved. He acted. He did something. Um, get some help. Um, get some understanding. Help yourself. I think the most dangerous or not the word dangerous, but just outlandishly wonderful person in the world is a person that can solve himself, because then he will become mighty. And that's different than being strong. He will understand what his why is, how he's going to solve it, what it's going to become, and then he will go to it and he will become that warrior. A warrior, it's a word, warrior, and when you just think of the word warrior, you get a feeling amongst you. If you just think about the word warrior, it makes you feel like, yeah, I can do it. Well, maybe in the morning you need to wake up and say to yourself, today I'm warrior. I'm going to go for it. And trust me, it's not going to be easy, but like my dad used to say, to get to the paradise, you got to walk through the desert. This will be your desert. Get through it. But once you've gotten through it, you will be better for it. I do believe that what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Um, from real experience. So I would tell that person, don't give up, don't give in, be relentless to becoming the warrior of that light within you. Don't do it for anyone else, because not anyone else can save you. You have to save you. And that's what that light is about. I'm going to save me. And that's what I would say to that individual. Just do it. Just do it. Be that warrior of the light. Yeah.
You are worth saving. Yes, definitely. Well, thank you for those
Yeah.
inspiring words, Tyrone. Well, thank you for the entire conversation, man. There's a lot of
Thank
wisdom in
you.
you. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
very much. Yeah. Thank you very much, Marcel. It's been a very encouraging conversation. And it's nice how I say that word encouraging. If you think about it, courage.
Yeah, it's from the French le coeur, which means
Yes,
the heart.
yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes,
right.
yes, yes.
Okay, so thank
Beautiful.
you for being on the show,
Hey,
dear
thanks for
listener.
having me.
Yes, thank you,
Yeah.
dear listener. Thank you for staying with us. Thank you for listening, and I hope you find some inspiring words of wisdom in here that will help you become the warrior of the light. So thanks for listening, and I'll see you guys in the next time. Bye bye.